gonna be a ball buster, you know.
Ball buster. Why is that?
90 plus degrees. We're in the direct sun too.
No breeze.
No wind, nothing. We're in a canyon. We're at the bottom of a canyon, you know.
With the water
Kind-
reflecting all the sun too.
Yeah, and then you got that reflection. Yeah, it's kind of like getting snow blind and being in Death Valley all at the same time. You're going stud status on that stuff today, huh?
Huh?
You're going stud status on that. Am I right?
On what? This?
On that debris. You're going stud status on it.
Is that right?
Well, sure. Yeah, that's new guy that we got, and I like to sometimes kind of you know, mess with them a little bit in the opening days to kind of get the feel, you know, get them to think a little bit. But right now I'm setting up the hearth of this fireplace. And what we're doing here is we're just doing a 3.5 inch raised, and then it's going to be 6 inches out from that fireplace. We were going to do a foot, but since the fireplace mantle came out like an additional 8 inches than what it was supposed to, so that means there's a lot of space behind there for that insert, which is kind of good actually, but it decreased, you know, the area of the patio, and it's kind of small, so we decided to go with 6 inch there. The insert is going to drop down a little bit below because it's a stainless steel edging around it, so you'll have a little bit on the bottom of stainless steel and then around the perimeter, and the tile will come up to that once we cover the face of that fireplace. Here's one of the access panels we're putting in, and that is to access your gas valve, and there's some electric in there as well if needed. So we're just attaching it. I'm using tap cons in there, just some 5/16. Now there's some planter beds along these existing low walls, and they come out on a 45-degree angle, and that's what we're trying to establish here. Basically, because we have a 90-degree behind that fireplace on these two existings, we're just measuring out from that corner behind the fireplace 14 feet in both directions, and then I'm pulling the line all the way across, so this diagonal off the wall, that 45-degree angle there, intercepts to the other one on the other side, so you have a straight line. So when the tile goes in, if let's say they were putting this tile on a 45-degree angle, they could actually use that as a reference or starting point, and it will line up right with the edge of planter. That's the idea behind that. Now that particular catch basin there, that elevation is not really established. It's going to be coming up. What I'm utilizing for elevation is some chalk lines that I've already established around the perimeter. Now I'm going to adjust that drain to fit that need. So I'll probably just, right now it's I get 3% to that catch basin. I'm going to bring it to about 1.5%. Now this little sidewalk here, the reason it came out, initially it wasn't going to come out at all, but we found that there was a lot of roots underneath it, and it had got jacked around a little bit from it, so we just decided to take it all the way back to where it's pretty much undisturbed, and it's pretty decent concrete. So once we get this done, it'll all be good to put tile, because this whole backyard's getting tile set on those existing steps that you see there, the sidewalk, that patio behind there, which I did in a previous video about 6 months ago. Now here's the raised barbecue island. We're going to do a little raised floor in there. It's what you don't want, you know, inside of cabinetries where you have storage when you're storing stuff. You don't want water to set in there, so it's going to be a raised platform to start with. Now this particular homeowner, he got pretty intricate with his designs. You can see the plan there that he drew up. Now how he's anchoring this, he's going to do he's going to have a fabricated stainless steel island that's going to set in front of that wall that we built, and then it's going to get covered with tile after that. So the entire frame is stainless steel. He's got that all custom made, and this is how he's going to anchor it. I've got some little recessed areas in here. You can see them here. Those are not going to get concrete in those spots. Those will be recesses in this raised platform. So the legs of the assembly will sit down in those. And then we're going to do a non-shrink grout to lock that whole unit in place. We're going to show the whole pour as well as this setup in this video. This is going to be the third part of this series. There will be some more parts when we get to the tile, but we're going to allow the concrete to set for about 45 days. Make sure we get all the moisture out before we start trying to adhere stuff to it. So there's all your little notch outs. All those little pipes sticking up, that's your control panel module on the end of the island. There'll be a cabinet opening off the end here. So you have sprinklers, you know, you can control your volt lighting, everything from that point. Now right here I'm just bringing around my established elevations that I snapped on the inside of the wall. I'm transferring it to the outside of the wall because we're going to do a little pop out on this new entrance. And he is going to do some double swings in here, even though it's a narrow opening. I think the double swings is mainly because of that AC unit sitting right there, so you're not dealing with that. After I got it all set up, the entire perimeter, I pulled a line across from, you know, and the whole perimeter is level. So I pulled a line across to try to get the elevation for that catch basin. It's got a precast concrete vault in there already, and then it had a plastic box on top of that. And I just mixed up some Quickcrete and some mortar together, you know, because it sets up a little quicker and it doesn't get all that cracking going on. And it's kind of almost a non-shrink when you do it like that, so it stayed nice and tight. Now on this particular thing I'm working on here, that's just a brass easy access. That's going to be a quick plug for the mobile fire pit. So let's say they're not using the fireplace, they could just have the fire pit going instead. Here's the fiberglass rods we're throwing in here. They're made from Owens Corning. They're only 3/8 inch diameter, but they are comparable to 1/2 inch steel on you know, the break test or tensile strength. Also on the right here we have a channel drain that's also connected to a 3-inch, and that runs to that catch basin. Well, this is pour day. We didn't catch the initial start. We had a big problem because I had 2 guys, you know, that didn't show up, so that just left me and 1 guy to get this job done on pour day. So Juan showed up. I had two other people. One was sick. Another one got stuck in a traffic jam. So, that happens sometimes. So you always try to build or get extra people on poor days, just in case that kind of stuff happens. So it just meant that we had to work harder, basically. And that's what we did. And because tile's covering this, wasn't real worrisome. The slopes were crucial. Elevations, making sure we maintained 5/8, 3/4 below those existing drains and what have you. That way you wouldn't have to get out there with a grinder when you're laying tile to get your tile down to match. There's a few things that are kind of crucial when you're doing just a base. Now here I am. I'm standing out there on the island, dressing that out. We got one over here on the perimeter, catching the edges. So we're down to a 2-man out. We got about 700 square feet here. And there I'm running the funny float, just trying to whip it up a little bit when Juan comes through, I've already juiced it up for him a little bit, and then he can just move it around along that wall. Because if you've ever did concrete, you'll notice that, and typically along the walls they go off a little quicker because the house itself draws some moisture. And then of course, if you're in the wet areas, you're going to have no moisture underneath the eaves. So there's little few things like that. And then if you don't have the expansion joints against the house to prevent that stucco from drawing in the moisture. This hearth will be covered with tile too, but I just gonna I strip everything because we got the stakes you gotta pull anyway. So I figured, well, let's just get it all out of here, all this lumber, especially on that raised island with those intricate little keyways I got in there. It's gonna be very difficult to get those out the next day when the concrete's dry. You're gonna most likely fracture the concrete trying to remove them. So we're gonna just remove them today. That way, if the concrete shifts and moves, it's a little more flexible, and we can shape it up real nicely. So that's what we did here. Well, after our initial laydown at getting the forms out, if you notice, I'm not using any top tools or coves, or I'm not getting real fancy with this stuff. I just want a nice surface and a nice clean edge, because all those little keyways there are going to get filled with a non-shrink grout once that frame drops in there. Now here's the little raised hearth area in front of the fireplace. Just kind of shaping it up. And because I don't have the top tool, I'm just using my trowel. I'm actually wrapping the radius with my trowel, if you look kind of closely there. Now I got that form oil on there on all that lumber, and that's why it strips so nicely. Without that oil, that wood and those keyways would have destroyed that concrete trying to pull that lumber out of there. So that's the end of the pour day, and now she's ready for tile. And the AC unit's going to go back in there, inevitably on top of the tile. It's a double move on that AC unit because you got 45 days in between now and the tile set, so you know it's a double move on the AC unit. Those keyways are a little overkill, you know, because they're about the actual frame that's going to sit in there. There's still a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 on either side for that non-shrink grout to go in there, plus underneath. So it's going to get shimmied up and leveled, and then the non-shrink self-leveling grout's going to go in. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.